Hello, happy almost weekend, happy new year. I haven't said that properly. I'm sorry if it looks like my books are gonna catch fire and it's making you nervous, but they're not, I promise. Everything is safely under control. It's time for me to get caught up on the huge bookish video to-do list that I have. I'm gonna jump right in with my first review of the year. Trumpets sound in the distance. This was sent to me in November, I think. I read it in December and now I'm finally getting around to uploading a review. I ranted about how much I love this cover the first time I mentioned this book. I'm just really into yellow on books and we're coordinating today. That was intentional. It actually wasn't, but how great does this look? This was published by Hotkey Books. It is a young adult book and it's about 330 pages long. Shiver the Whole Night Through is a reference to a Nirvana song, which I'm sure you all knew. We're all cool kids here. So our first person narrator is called Aidan Flood. He's 17 years old and he lives in a fictional small Irish town in like the middle of nowhere on the west coast, I believe, east-west. The book starts with Aidan trying to kill himself after months of being bullied at school, and he doesn't. But shortly afterwards he finds out that a girl he went to school with called Sloania Macaulay has killed herself or has died in very strange circumstances in a very spooky place called Shook Woods just outside their town. He takes it upon himself to find out what happened to her, even though they didn't really know each other when she was alive, and it becomes this sort of detective story for a while, and then eventually a big supernatural influence gets involved. It's very hard to talk about this book without spoiling anything, and I really don't want to do that. Things you should know: there's quite a bit of Irish in this book. It starts with a little guide to pronunciation of Irish Gaelic words. There aren't too many, but it kind of throws you off if you skip over this page and jump right in. I don't speak any Irish at all. I never learned to speak Irish. As a character, I didn't particularly like Aidan. I didn't have all that much sympathy for him. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It made it more interesting. I think it made it more believable because as a 17-year-old girl, I didn't really like 17-year-old boys either. He has a best friend and I like how their relationship plays out. I think that the dialogue, the conversations were very realistic. Just the kind of friendship where they sort of make fun of each other and Aidan's just like rolling up cigarettes and having a smoke, and it's all good. There were moments where I was really with this story. And again, it's hard to say, but as the plot goes on, this becomes a story with a main male character, Aidan, and a main female character. There were moments that I was really with them and I was really with the conversations they were having, and she is a really cool character. Again, it's really hard not to spoil the story. She's a character with a lot of complexity and I found her very interesting and very strong and I was with her. But then at other points it kind of lost me. The plot becomes quite surprising towards the end. I thought I'd figured it out and I was very smug about it, and then it just sort of took another little turn at the end. I think I wish it had ended up differently for that male-female character relationship. I wish it had kind of gotten a bit messier. Maybe not that it isn't messy, it gets quite violent in places, it gets quite sweary in places, and I read this really quickly because I really wanted to know what was going on because there is this mystery at the centre of it. And mostly I just loved the Irish setting. I loved the type of characters we were meeting. I liked the sort of relationship between the main character and the rest of his family. It was very kind of passive and not particularly emotional or feeling, which is, I think, true to a lot of people. And there's a little bit of Irish history in this book in terms of like the Great Famine in the 19th century, which is right up my street. I love that kind of thing, and I love that there's a teenager who's really into that kind of thing because that was me as a teenager. There are lots of contemporary references in terms of singers and music and stuff, and then that's kind of paired with this old mythical Ireland full of ice and snow and the supernatural, and I thought that was a really nice pairing. And I think this book is just a pairing of lots of nice things. It's a good pairing of Irish language with, like, you know, an English speaking teenager who speaks in sort of slang and informal conversation. A really interesting book, particularly at this time of year because it's freezing outside, and this entire book is freezing cold, importantly to the story, but a nice one to read in winter. It had my attention the whole way through. Like I said, there were a couple of moments where I wanted it to play out differently than it did in terms of like the boy-girl characters and how that all unfolded, but that's just me. I'm always just craving like strong independent women who are just inherently bad just because why not? Definitely recommended. My first review of the year. On this channel this year I want to read and review a lot more Irish books. I have like an Irish bookshelf. It's this one right here. Ignore the Allen Ginsberg anthology, he's not Irish. But I have all my Irish books. I study a lot of Irish literature at university and I want to bring that to my channel. So I hope that's okay with you because it's very exciting to me. If you have read this beautifully covered book, then let me know what you thought. Let's have a little talk. Try to avoid spoilers if that's even possible. I don't know, it's just so hard not to talk about. I will link to it in the description if you want to find out more. And good. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon with more bookish videos. Bye.